Yeah, no, actually, everything you do is unhealthy. There is no health phase. You're in the decade of your life where you're going to hardcore bodybuild and compete. You're not in a health phase at any point. You can be minimizing damage and stress. You could be trying to take care of yourself as good as possible, but don't call it a health phase. Come on, you're not at a yoga retreat. Come on. Okay, everybody, it's Just Bodybuilding. We're doing this on Boxing Day, but you're probably watching it a week later, right? Or Saturday, at least.
This is the last episode on Think Big of the year.
Last episode of 2022. So this is our year-end closeout, Scott.
It is.
Year-end review.
Okay. Of course, there's myself, Big Ron Partlow, Dusty Hanshaw, Scott McNally, our producer. Remember, like, share, subscribe, comment, and...
ring the bell. Thanks for doing the end. Thank you.
Yeah, I took it away. It was causing problems. I was
giving
Dusty
it away
too much
last
responsibility.
Then Scott had me on the left at the end of the last episode, and everybody caught that. It was driving me batshit the whole time. I kept I was trying to figure out where I was. Oh,
didn't know what was happening.
Anyways, sorry. I'm glad you
remember.
Fixed it,
I am mutant.com. I am mutant.com, and I am mutant.com. Dusty 20, Big Ron 20. Yes, there we go. You can use any of those. And remember,
20% off for you.
20% off. And remember, you go on the Patreon, the Think Big Patreon, and lock in for your $5 a month or whatever you want to contribute to the Patreon, and
it all helps.
Help out the entire Think Big network. Just keep chugging along. You know, you got to feed the machine, right, Scott?
Plus, I try to post some stuff up there, too. Like, I'll post up question threads for all the shows, a little bit of behind-the-scenes stuff, like that little clip that we had at the beginning here. We could put that in there. Yep. As long as you guys don't say anything incriminating, it's all fair game, you know?
Yeah,
I usually keep that to myself.
No. This is how things work. You spend money on the things you love. So there you go. Put your money in the Patreon.
Remember,
make it a better place.
Questions down below too.
Yes,
they get priority on episodes like today. Your question gets answered. Sometimes Scott skips one guy's 3 times. I don't really know what that's all about, but it's true. I've seen it. But other than that poor guy, the rest of you will be answered.
Yes. Okay. He does have his favorites.
I remember him answering, questioning again and saying, the last 2 episodes I've asked this question.
Oh, I felt bad because you know what it is too sometimes is that somebody will post the question after we've already recorded the next shows and then it's too late. And then I look at, so the most important thing is we take questions off of the latest episodes. So when you see this come out, that's when it's the time to post questions. But regardless, it's comments, all that stuff all the time. It always helps to boost our programming. And we cracked 20,000 subscribers, and we're real close to hitting 21,000. But I don't know if we're going to make that by New Year's. So if you guys haven't subscribed yet, yeah. So I don't. If you haven't subscribed yet, let me encourage you to, because we have several bodybuilding podcasts that come out each week. We got these guys a lot of times twice a week. You can get Dusty twice a week.
Yeah. You don't just have to watch us. You can subscribe and then ignore us. And you could just watch the other shows.
And hit the bell.
Right, Dusty?
Because that's the thing, too. They're changing up the way YouTube works. I noticed that when I go there on my app anymore, they don't even show me stuff. It shows you different posts that people have made. You don't actually see the videos anymore. So if you want to see our videos, you got to hit the bell. That way you'll just get a reminder every time that we have a show. It's not going to send you an email or anything like that. Just get a reminder in your, on the app. So it helps.
Ding, ding.
It'll help you to see our stuff. Plus,
that's the Dusty part. The Dusty part. It's important.
It's very important.
Absolutely important. I don't do that for nothing.
So we're leaving 2022. Yeah. We're leaving it behind.
Yes, we are.
How do you see the end of the year, Dusty? What's your take on the end of 2022? Did you have anything interesting happen to you this year? Anything at all?
I didn't die or anything this year. I moved. I got a new house. That was interesting.
Yeah, that was.
I got my relationship back with Mutant here. So that
was that
good.
this year?
Yeah.
Wow.
That was this year. I know it kind of all seems like I never really left, but there was a minute there. It's just,
when did you die again?
We were doing. I died last year in May until June. It's so long. Like it doesn't. I mean, when people bring it up now,
crazy.
I'm like, old news. I'm back
over
to life.
a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Way done. I'm back to bitter asshole. It's great.
What's the biggest thing that's changed since then for you, Dusty? I know it's hard to sum up. What's the biggest thing?
No, actually, it's easy.
Yeah?
And Ron and I, which we have to finish this conversation we had, but the biggest thing that's changed is I used to my primary drive for success in anything, was
dogs.
They get really mad when people come home. Yes, but no, it used to be just more. Essentially, more was the primary drive for anything, and whatever that meant, whether it was more weight, more money, more whatever. Now I actually do it in reverse. Drive comes off of gratitude for what's already there, and work ethic comes off of trying to keep it there. And that's usually where things grow from now. So it's really weird. I mean, literally, without effort, every morning I notice just basic things I'm grateful for that are so simple that everyone listening to this probably has. Holy shit, it's cold outside. It is not cold inside. That's a good thing. I mean, literally, like dumb shit like that where you wouldn't even notice before, or like, especially in the South now, I go outside and like sometimes you know this, Ron. You walk outside and it's like the air is a little clear, like crisper. You're like, oh damn. I notice that stuff now, and I like tell people, I'm like, did you notice? And they're like, are we having a conversation about this? Really? Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's it. I mean, it's a ton of gratitude for basic stuff, and coincidentally, the growth and the more has exponentially increased when that became the focus.
That's cool.
Dusty and I were having a conversation at the expo when he mentioned a conversation that we hadn't finished. And I was just saying that I was talking to a friend of mine who's extremely successful. He's probably about 10, 15 years older than me. He's got a ton of money. He's like loaded, travels a lot. And I said, what do you think your main bottom line lessons are for being so successful? Because he's like self-made, came from a regular blue collar family, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And he said, well, approaching everything with gratitude is the number one thing. And right off the hop, a lot of people dismiss that word because it's kind of a Instagram buzzword.
Sure.
They've maybe seen too many Gary V videos, and he's always preaching about gratitude. And then maybe they're like, Gary V, I like Gary V, but there's some people that are like, he just talks about the same thing all the time. But it really is important. And the reason he explained why, and this is why it's a good point. He said, when you approach everything with gratitude, it prevents you from slacking off and letting up, because it takes a lot of consistent work to maintain things that are going well. So a lot of people have that problem. They'll hit a certain level of success. We've all seen the story. The musician writes a great record, and then the money hits, and then the drugs and booze and fucking around come, and he starts being a diva and doesn't have gratitude for his situation anymore. And then the next record sucks shit, and then he's gone.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And that's like an easy metaphor that everyone can kind of like, oh yeah, but that's what happens. They lose the gratitude for the situation. So the work ethic suffers. And so he said the most important thing to go with the gratitude, the factor you also have to have, is focus.
I like that.
And he said the people that can't focus, they're the ones that you have to have gratitude, but you also have to have focus. And he's like, the gratitude will only get you so far, but the focus is what will, keep you going. And we see that all the time. People getting distracted by stuff, our friends and stuff, they'll tell us about a problem they have. And I'll be like, this problem isn't actually your problem. you're not focusing on what you're actually aiming at doing right now. This is like some other thing that you don't even have to really pay attention to. But for some reason, it's got you distracted and you think it's a problem that you have to solve. You don't even have to bother with this. This is someone else's thing. You know, you just move on with your stuff. Just handle your shit. And he said that's a huge part of it, is that he's been able to just focus on his business, focus on his family, not be distracted by other people's drama and nonsense and trying to solve other people's, some people can't help but spend their whole life trying to save other people all the time.
Sure.
And they wind up losing a bunch of their opportunities,
Yeah.
And he said that's just one of the things you got to be able to do is focus.
Well, look at what we just had on the last episode too, though. Like when you were bodybuilding and you were focused on your goals, and I was bodybuilding and focused on my goals, we weren't worried about everyone else and their shit. But now, however many years later, Kuba comes on and says, oh yeah, I was watching that and that inspired me to do my shit. So you can affect other people's lives in a positive way while being focused on your shit. And I think that's where things also get confused. It's like, no, the best way to lead is example. Yeah. Let people see you execute and do. And then it becomes very like, I want to do what he's doing, not what he's talking about doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's a big difference. It's like I had someone come up to me in the gym and say, hey, great woman advice on the show.
Okay.
And I had to stop and go, woman advice? When did we ever give any good woman advice? Like, I'm dying to know when we give 1 ounce of good woman advice.
Give me more.
And he said, someone asked how to get a woman. And you said, stop focusing on getting a woman. Focus on being better at your job, better at your hobbies, better at executing and completing your tasks, better at setting goals. And then the joke was, make more money and they'll come to you. But essentially, that's what I meant, was be a focused, driven person, and people who respect focus and drive will want to be around you and want to learn from you and want to listen to you and want to help you and want to be involved with you. And that includes people that want to date you.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that people get distracted by, I think people let people into their circles that aren't adding to their circles often. And that's a distraction. Sure. And that's part of the focus thing. That's one of the elements that he mentioned, was he's like, having focus also means being aware and having enough focus to know who are you spending your time and energy on, because it's either costing you or it's a net zero, right? Some friendships give as much as they get, so it's a net zero, which is fine. Or it adds, which is even like makes you want to add back, so it's a net zero again. You want it to be, everyone wants their friendships to be, even, right?
Yeah.
But if you've got someone in your life that's just sort of sucking positive energy out of you, sucking time, sucking energy, could be money, you have to be aware of that, because it can't go on forever. You know what I mean? You can't have a hole in your gas tank forever.
Yeah.
So that's how he described it, having a hole in your gas tank.
I'm glad we got to finish that conversation. I was really bothered that I didn't get phase 2. I'm like, I got phase 1 down.
Yeah. Well,
it sounds like phase 2 is under control too, but it's definitely I love when the answer is simple, and when sometimes you're executing things without realizing, which means if you focused on them, you would execute them even better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right. And we do get so good at certain things that we can do them on autopilot, which is great. It enables us to multitask more. You know what I mean? But if we ever want to level that thing up, we can't keep it on autopilot. We have to go back to it, level it up ourselves.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Very true.
And then maybe if we, we can put it back on autopilot once we get really good at that next level, I guess. Move on to focusing on something else. Once you've hired a manager for it.
So I had a segment, which I give you guys a little warning on, but I wanted to start off with, so what it is things that need to be left in 2022. Now, obviously I have some sarcastic ones that I mean them, but they're funny. But I did want to see if you guys had any things that you would suggest, not for you,
reps in
but
reserve.
in general for people. That is a good answer. You could leave those reps in 2022. If you have anything that you think is good advice or even information you had to use in the past or need to use for yourself to leave in 2022 that you see going on at any level in the world. And then, of course, give me your sarcasm too.
Yeah, I've got one that's the term health phase.
You don't like that? You don't like health phase, huh?
No, I don't like that term. I think it's really silly. We got to start using the term. I'm just in a health phase right now.
What do we call it?
No. Yeah, no, actually, everything you do is unhealthy. There is no health phase. You're in the decade of your life where you're going to hardcore bodybuild and compete. You're not in a health phase at any point. You can be minimizing damage and stress. You could be trying to take care of yourself as good as possible, but don't call it a health phase. Come on. You're not at a yoga retreat. Come on. It's not a health phase.
Yes, this is what I'm looking for. This is the information.
Yeah.
Just because you're not using Tren. Just because you're not using Tren.
Yeah, you're off Tren. Imagine me. Just imagine me. Imagine me in 2009, sitting there at 330 pounds. And I just finished running 1.5 grams a test and 600 EQ and 100 Anadrol a day. And I'm like, yeah, I'm just in a health phase right now.
Yeah.
Just imagine
that just means
how
you hold the
ridiculous
Anadrol.
Yeah. And then 12 weeks later, I'm still cruising on, back in those days, I don't even know, 400 test. And, I'm still 315. I'm just in a health phase.
Yeah.
No, you're not. This is not a health phase. Nothing about this is a health phase. I just had to get that off my chest
right now.
That's a good one.
Yeah, you're just not really making it worse. Yeah. Okay.
Oh God. All right, Scott. What do you have? Do you have anything? Could be.
Yeah, I'm thinking
very serious, like health phase.
I'm thinking, but throw a couple at us, Dusty, and let me hear where you're going.
I got a few I can help you guys. So some of these are just. So I like to read comments on pictures. Okay.
Yeah.
And there are a few comments that I need to be left in 2022. This is the big one. Resist the urge to use the trite line, louder for the people in the back. Every time you read something you mildly agree with, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
I'm sure the first time someone said that,
great
you're like,
comment.
oh, that's good. Yeah. 7,226. And you're the same guy that's using it. I'm like, oh, because that's another one. And this is the one between the girls, because this I love. So a girl gets engaged. All the women that fucking secretly hate her but follow her, they now comment. And my favorite comment is, I'm literally crying. I love you so much. After someone you barely know and likely don't even really like post something they're happy about. You're not really crying and you sound like an idiot. I hate that. Oh, no, you're not. If you are, you're pathetic.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm going to bring one to the gym now, Scott, to help you go full circle.
All right. And I think I got one.
Driving your hips forward at the top of a squat as if that somehow activates the glutes. Knock that shit off. Gravity, straight up and down. You're actually taking away focus from what you're trying to do.
I could see in that movement.
Please stop doing it. I see it and I'm like, my head does that turn like Donna, but it's not the happy one. I'm like, and I grit that side of my cheek. Okay. You ready, Scott? Go ahead.
All right. I feel like there has been a lot of polar thinking in the last couple of years. It's not just 2022, the black and white thinking. That it's either all one way or it's all the other way. And I feel like one of the things we've really tried to express in the educational side of podcasting has been to just think for ourselves, that the latest one was that rat studies don't prove anything. Rat studies don't relate to humans. And, I feel like the medical community has used rat studies for ever, right? Like rat studies have always existed. Animal studies have always existed, and they're there for a reason. Does it completely relate to humans? No, but it gives us a lot of really good information. There's a lot of things I think that we're being told that everything is all good or everything is all bad. Estrogen used to be all bad and now it's all good. I guess I want to get back to like that middle ground. And I do hope that as a society and as a community in bodybuilding that we can get more to that middle ground, that the accurately rated area, as I like to call it.
The whole time you were talking, I thought you were talking about getting out of a long prison sentence.
No.
Rat studies. Anyways, on to the next.
Yes.
Okay. You almost blurted one out.
I love that one.
You have one. You almost blurted one out.
I was going to blurt one out. I was going to say it was along the lines of what you said. You see, I wish women could be nicer to one another.
Like really nicer or like fake nicer, the way they do it?
Like actually nicer instead of just bullshit nicer.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Guys just don't, I just don't think guys do that shit as much. Like if you don't really like the person, don't comment at all. Don't write, oh my God, I'm so happy for you. Like you don't really like them, just leave their post alone. Just move.
Don't even follow her. Why do you follow her?
Don't even follow her. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so there's a lot of that. And I think for some reason, and our female listeners can really help us out here. We'd love to hear your comments on what we think. But I think guys generally think women are mean to each other in like a lot of ways that guys aren't. We kind of look at each other sometimes and go, what the fuck's going on there? You know what I mean? It's kind of a funny thing. I think it has a lot to do with Instagram too and all the.
Do you ever notice though too, like guys, like if you don't like me and I know it because you've made it known, I'm cool with that. It's like cool. It's not a problem. And then you will have an occasion. I just had this happen recently, and I don't even care anymore. But there was a guy I used to go back and forth with all the time. We did not get along in the bodybuilding world. Fine, it was very open. The other day, there was a video put up of me training, and it was apparently impressive by him. There was a comment about it being good. I'm like, see, you don't just hate someone in general either.
Yeah. That's
like, like women can literally hate someone to the point where they're like, I just cured cancer. Like, bitch. Like, well, she did cure cancer. We can't give her that? No? Okay, we're not giving her that. Got it. Yeah, that's valid. That's a very valid one. On a more serious note, I think one that I've seen a ton of in bodybuilding, in the world, but in bodybuilding, that fascinates me is the living well beyond your means.
I think that's always been a problem, you know?
But I think it's something to very easily leave this year, and you can move on with it. Because
I like that.
I have had savings my entire life, even when I was broke. And I mean, like, I make $8.25 an hour, and I used to keep 20% of it on the side. Imagine trying to live. I was married at the time, so we combined made like $17 an hour.
Yeah.
And 20% was pulled every check as soon as we got it. Slide over and then live off that. I don't think people realize this is something that I was taught actually was you pay yourself first. Meaning you pull that 20% before anybody gets their money, before your rent gets paid, before your car gets paid, before anything happens.
Yeah.
You pull that money. Now you pay bills. Now you see what's left, if anything. And then you move forward. Like, it's a baffling thing to me. And the reason I bring it up is because I witnessed 2 people this year miss opportunities because they didn't have money. They didn't have liquid cash to take advantage of opportunities that they would have had, but I knew of both of their $80,000 cars in the driveway. I'm just like, there's your money that would have created money. But hey, you got those 2 awesome liabilities in the driveway just fucking draining you. And I have liabilities, don't get me wrong, but they're paid for by other things. And there's there's what I consider to be plenty of liquid cash if an opportunity comes to hand. So I think people should think of that, because the biggest argument that I hear from people when I talk about this is, well, I don't make enough money yet. And I'm like, yes, you do. You do. You just live off of every penny you have. If you pull that 20% first, you can live off the 80%. It's just a little tougher.
I'll
I like that. I wish I would have done that when I was a kid.
Condo. I owned a condo and a gym before, and I owned a condo and a gym, and I was driving a $4,000 Jeep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like the vehicle was the last thing I got. I had I owned a home, and the gym was running strong 4 years deep before I went and leased a vehicle. You know what I mean? Like I just kept driving that Jeep. It gets me to the gym, and I just didn't give a fuck. I never gave one fuck about that. I didn't give a fuck. I went and bought a vehicle finally because I was like, this vehicle's old enough, it's going to like die on the highway.
We talked about that on the podcast. That was like a whole big
you guys were like telling me to go.
I was shocked.
So when I see young guys that have like, they pull up, some of these kids pull up to the gym. I'm sure their parents are just rich or something, but they pull up to the gym and like fucking Mercedes, cars and stuff. And okay, you're either a drug dealer or your parents just bought it for you. But like, it's crazy to do that first. Well, the first thing is the $100,000 car. Yeah.
Or you have things in reverse, which is, and this is, I think I told you this, I did this. So this is a mistake I made that I try to tell people all the time is, I used to think that if you could pay the note on something, it meant you could afford it.
Yeah, no.
And that's not accurate. So like I had my first $100,000 car and I was making good money, but I didn't need that shit.
Yeah.
Like, it was 2010 when I bought my first $100,000 car. And here's a fun fact. I haven't had one since.
Yeah.
And I've had a lot more money since. Like now, if you said to me, oh, do you want to, I would have to be doing so much better than I'm doing now to even possibly consider that a good decision. Right. So that's a big factor. And this is funny, and I don't even know if this is true, but I love when I read something and I'm like, oh, that makes sense. But I had read a quote that Jay-Z said, don't buy anything you can't buy twice right now.
Yeah.
And that could be false. So whatever, but whoever said it, whoever made that up, it's so accurate. So like when I bought my most recent motorcycle, like I could have bought up 2 of them that day, no problem. And my life wouldn't change at all if I bought them both. So that means you can afford to buy one. Go ahead. And I thought that was great, like basic cheesy advice. Because when I bought my 750 or BMW, I couldn't have bought 2. No way. It had tanked me.
I get the car thing though, like overdoing it. I think there's the status thing that we get sucked into. And I think that it's like, hey, if I can pull up to the gym in this really nice car, then that validates me to everybody else that I am a successful person. And it's, it's being able to, I think it's getting over that, you know what I'm saying? Getting over that feeling of that need to be validated and seen a certain way. If we can get over that, I think that's where, and I feel like I've fallen into that. I remember, and I talked about this a couple of years ago, I cracked my freaking phone. I had bought a phone. I didn't even have it for a year, and I was training at home, and it fell off a shelf, and it just landed on a dumbbell just right, shattered the screen. I didn't get it fixed for a while, and I remember thinking to myself, like, when people would see me, and I'm like, oh yeah, here, let me get your number, and I've got a cracked phone. Like, you judge people. I judge people if I see their phone is broken. Like, can't you get that fixed? Or, and it's like, and I recognize though, like, I felt like a piece of shit. Like, how are people looking at me, because I have this cracked phone. And I recognize, like, part of that, there's a status thing to how new your phone is, how new your car is, how new your shoes are, all that stuff. And I think any of us, including myself, can get sucked into that. Being able to get around that, you could save a lot of money. That's for sure. I did buy a new phone. I needed it. I legit needed it.
When you get older, though, you realize that doesn't matter. Like, it really doesn't.
Yeah.
We have I don't even know what year it is, but like a Nissan Rogue that's paid for also.
Yeah.
And I was planning on buying a new Bronco because I was like, oh, you should get a Bronco.
Those are cool
and whatever.
I like the new Bronco.
And by the way, not the Sport, the real one.
Yeah.
But anyways, and then one day we had a conversation. We're like, do we really want to do that? Because we're trying to buy a lake house. And I'm just like hoping to be able to do that in the next year. And I'm like, we're together all the time. Like, all it would change is which one car we got into.
Yeah.
I'm like, we don't need another car. Fuck that. Like, that's $80,000 just burnt.
Yeah.
And it's, again, and sometimes you have to factor in too, like, even when you can afford it, do you need it? Because I can only imagine if I go and then I could have gotten a better interest rate if I put another 30 grand down or something crazy like that. And I'm like, oh, awesome. That just cost me thousands of dollars. Right. I got this stupid car I didn't need, and I will say for young guys or girls that haven't done it yet, aside from my truck, which I still love 3 years later, every vehicle I've ever had, no matter how nice it was, it only lasted about 6 weeks before I was just getting in the car and going where I was going.
Yeah, exactly.
I just I completely forget. I don't give a fuck. I'm like, I gotta go. I'll take the Rogue sometimes because it's easier to park. I'm like, I gotta go steal her car and take off. I'm like, take the truck. I stole your car. Fuck off.
I did the same thing when I bought, like, I drive a Ford Explorer, right? I bought a Ford Explorer, and I actually wanted another Jeep. I wanted another Grand Cherokee, and the Grand Cherokee's like 15, 20K more than the Explorer.
Okay.
And it's essentially the same vehicle, right? It's just a Jeep, and Jeep costs more. They just price point higher. But I test drove both of them, and I was like, oh God, that didn't feel like 20 grand.
Huh.
Like, I just felt like the same fucking truck. Like, I even liked the dash a little better.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, fuck it. And I went with the Explorer, and like literally like days later, I was driving it one day, and I was like, oh my God, this is a best call I ever made. Like, I would not have given a fuck about, like, to have that Jeep Grand Cherokee. Like, I'm so glad I didn't buy it, because this thing's like, another ridiculous thing is I drive about 3,000 miles a year.
10 feet a year.
Right? So like,
I could throw a rock to his gym from his house. And I'm a terrible consumer. Like, I was walking through the mall. Do you want to know what my number one thought is when I'm walking through the mall at Christmas time?
What's that?
My number one thought. I'm looking at all the stores, and I'm thinking, how the fuck do you guys stay open? Who needs any of this shit?
Right.
Like, how the fuck are half these stores in business? I'll walk by like a bedding store. It's just nothing but bedding and pillows.
Yeah.
And I'm like, God, I buy bedding. Like, I haven't bought bedding for like 20 years. I bought like 2 new pillows last year. Like, how does this, like, I think Emily bought a new blanket and some new sheets, like, at fucking Winners. And like, I don't, how the fuck does a bed store just stay in business? Is there enough of that going on? Like, who needs a new bed every fucking week? Like, I'm just a terrible consumer. I don't buy stuff, and I like to use stuff I like to buy good stuff, and then I use it till it's worn out. And if it's good stuff, it lasts forever. So I just don't understand how half of these businesses are even in business. I walk past the store, I'm like, who needs any of this shit?
Sure.
Like, how many new dinner sets do you need to buy every year? Like, God, I've had the same square plates since like 1999. They're still in the cupboard.
Square, by the way.
Emily loves them. She's like, oh, I love these big plates you brought into the relationship.
3 girlfriends ago bought those for me.
We joke, like yeah. And we joke about, like, we should buy all new plates. Like, just get all new plates that match and shit. And she's like, we don't really have people over.
What for?
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. I'm glad I'm not the only one that does it. I do that with stores too, but not on the same stance. Just I'm amazed because I'm like a candy store. I'm like, how much fucking candy do you sell?
Yeah, like, who buys all this shit?
I don't even understand. And I mean, I also understand there's a difference between having a business that's alive and a business that's making money. But I'm like, that motherfucker's been there for 4 years selling candy. That's amazing. I didn't know people ate that much candy.
Yeah, because I guess the thing is most of these stores, like I'd say 90% of the stores in the mall, the bubble of that store and everything that it encompasses barely touches my life.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, there'll be store that sells, like, just nothing in that store is involved in my thought bubble at all. Doesn't even occur to me. Right. So that sort of stuff just, and I guess that comes back to, focus. No, not distracted by every new shiny thing. Like, some people can't walk past a store at all. Some people go in every store. Oh, I gotta see what this store has. See what this store has. I'm like, I don't even care. Yeah.
I think about that when I go to Costco. Fuck. People are like, it takes so long to go to Costco. I'm like, why? You don't know what you're going for? I'm in and out in 5 minutes. I'm like, I know the path
straight to the chicken.
If they move something. They moved my monsters the other day. I'm like, you motherfuckers. My mom works there. I immediately ran. Mom, where the fuck's the monsters? Someone took me there. I was like, whew, that was stressful. It was 9 minutes that day.
I need a golf cart ride to the monsters. Yes.
Right now. Yeah. But that's also how you go broke, by the way. Wandering around and seeing cool shit that you don't need.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I also have
to say,
need
this one day.
I also got to say a little consumer advice. I bought this, I built this silly pedal board for my guitars, right?
Oh,
so I've got all these effect pedals.
Yeah, you got it all together.
I built like this awesome pedal board. It's rock and roll fantasy land pedal board. And about half the pedals on it are brand new. Like I went to my favorite store, fucking tried out several pedals, picked the one I wanted, brand new pedal. And then I bought one off Marketplace. And I went on Facebook Marketplace, saw a pedal I wanted, bought it, and it was in mint condition. The guy still had the box. He still had the plastic bag that was sealed around it in the box. Like, it was fucking brand new. He said he used it for like 3 months, barely used it, didn't really fit his style. There's not a single scratch on it. I got to meet him. He's a really cool musician. He showed me his music room. He's got a bunch of cool guitars. He had a drum set. We were like shaking hands and talking about shit, and he's like, "Oh man, I'll check you out on Instagram." And now we're friends. And I got a $300 pedal for $100.
Nice.
So I'm like, fuck this. I'm buying stuff off Marketplace. Like it was, you know what I mean? There's just I got so much out of it.
Yeah.
So like, I'm just not a good consumer. I find a way around it. It's just, I don't know. That's my little tip.
It's good.
Ron's going to show up at my house to buy something if I didn't know him. I'm like, bro, we're not having a conversation. Buy it. Get the fuck out.
Yeah,
what are you doing?
It's a porch pickup only.
Yeah.
Leave the 100 under the mat.
Yeah. And the funny thing was the guy met me on the front step, right? Like, I never expected to go into his house. I was just like front step, and I'm like, oh man. And we start talking, and he goes, oh, hey, come on in. I'll show you my guitars. Like, because we got bullshitting, right?
Just be careful.
And then
people.
I'm like, oh, I'm in this guy's house.
Anybody watching?
Yeah,
careful. We want to give advice to people. Be safe. Don't go in strangers' homes.
Don't invite every meathead to your house.
I was looking for anything that reminded me of Dahmer. You know?
Yeah, any weird smells. Here, have a drink.
Smells. I wasn't like, did you have some meat go off lately? Yeah, there wasn't any of those questions. So, anyways, what else can we leave in 2022, Dusty? Is this segment still going? Are we still on this?
There's one thing that we could definitely leave in 2022. Reminding everyone that the sport of bodybuilding was better 10, 20, and 30 years ago.
There you go.
Okay, I'm good. I feel better now.
There you go. Do you notice Buys and Tries reposted Jamie's comment?
I saw that.
Oh, yeah. That was great.
It
was good to see. And I saw there was another retort back. Like there was a clap back from the old guys. I was stoked that they figured out how to do it at their age.
I thought that nice. You would take a little extra pride in the photo they used too, because it was Jamie smoking a cigar. So I felt like Dusty would see that and go, I get a little credit.
Well, they definitely they wanted him to have that effect, I mean, it is an effect.
Yeah,
and Jamie has that already, being like James Bond already thing going on. So
yeah, he does have a bit of a secret agent vibe.
Especially when they go somewhere fancy. Have you ever noticed that? Like when him and his wife go out, and like the other day they went somewhere he was in like a tux, and I'm like,
damn.
I don't look like that in a tux. This is bullshit.
I was expecting him to have a Watha PPK tucked into his shoulder holster there.
Oh, he might have.
For sure. Well, we know he had a joint now that we've got to him, but whatever. Okay. So did you guys do any Q&A or questions or anything? I got a bunch.
Yeah, let's do some YouTube questions. Don't we have some YouTube questions?
All right. Yeah, I have a few here. I've got a few here. Let me see what we got.
We got to make sure people remember that YouTube questions are the priority.
Okay.
So this is, when we do questions, make sure you leave them on YouTube.
All right. So Seth had asked us, does using a belt for deadlifts hinder overall back gains? I see James Hollingshead and Jordan Peters deadlift without a belt, and they have stupid awesome erectors. I like deadlifting without, but I know I could probably get some more weight on the bar with one.
Do you know who had a really good back that was a big fan of wearing a belt?
Who's that?
Ronnie Coleman.
Yeah, buddy.
Decent back on that guy. The answer, and I can tell you because I'm stealing it from Jordan, he doesn't train with a belt because he never did.
Okay.
That's it. So now they're uncomfortable for him. If he puts one on, it's a distraction. It's a problem. So a belt won't take away from your back development. But if you're already feeling strong and you've been training without one, you also don't really need to bring one into the equation, if you ask me.
Your mic's off.
You're muted. Muted. Your dog was barking.
Oh, there we go. I always liked deadlifting with a belt, but I never gave it a thought as to how it affected my back development. I was just with my experience and my body, I just felt safer using a belt for deadlifts. But, I also see the value in doing stuff without a belt because I remember having back problems one time and it kind of had to do with my glutes and hams and the whole back and my core strength. And I had a guy helping me out, and I had seen a bunch of people about my back pain, and they were giving me all this other stuff to do. Yeah. And then I talked to a trainer friend of mine that I really respected who worked with athletes like CFL players and hockey players. And he told me, screw all that shit. Just get rid of your belt for a while. Your core's really fucked up. You've got some core muscles that are super weak and then some that are probably super strong. So just stop wearing a belt at all for a while and just reset all the exercises that you can't do and just get your body strong. And so right away, I couldn't do stiff leg deadlifts or bent over rows with my normal weight without a belt. And I couldn't leg press without a belt because I'd been pushing against it. And without the belt, I was like, oh shit. So I had to take a few plates off and get through it. And then very quickly, my back, everything stopped hurting. And my body just got completely fixed in 6 weeks without a belt.
I'll be damned.
And once it was all, and I was stiff leg deadlifting 4 plates without a belt, 6 weeks later. And I couldn't even do 2 plates without a belt. So something happened and my core just engaged and everything just went boom. And then my buddy was like, okay, well, you can use a belt now if you want for your big sets, but make sure you don't do it for I think I was just overusing it. I was putting it on and doing all my warm-ups.
Yeah.
And so after that point, I only put it on for my big set when I thought I was being, safer or whatever. But I do all my warm-ups, no belt, no problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that was the craziest difference I ever saw. That's the only advice I have regarding belts.
All right. How about this one? Got some home gym questions. Leg press machine recommendations. And what are the little things that people forget when building a home gym?
2 things. First thing, footprint. How big is it? So if, let's say you find a Nebula leg press online for sale in your area.
Yeah.
Well, that's an amazing leg press, but it's fucking huge. So let's say there's a Nebula and a Cybex, both available in your area, and you're a huge Nebula fan. Well, might still be the worst choice for your home gym. Cybex is probably 2 feet shorter. And probably narrower too. So just footprint's a big thing with a home gym. Cybex make a lot of great stuff that's really small, and there's a whole bunch of other brands that do that. And secondly, don't focus on the brand. Obviously, we want certain brands. We're all fans of Hammer, Cybex, Atlantis. We all want the good stuff in our gyms. But a home gym is only being used by you and a few people. It a piece that might not be good enough for a commercial gym will still last fucking forever in your home gym, right? So you don't, if you find a no-name brand leg press and you get in it and it feels good and it's got a small footprint and it's only $400, fuck, ding dong, that's your leg press. Awesome. You know what I mean? And sometimes those will last forever in a home gym.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be an amazing commercial piece. There's some gems out there. So you got to if you're going to buy used equipment, you got to go get in it, try it out. Oh, fuck, this feels pretty good. I'll take this. You know what I mean? So that's my advice.
You taught me that. And that was something I didn't recognize. And I'll tell you what, man, once you start moving around like commercial grade equipment, you recognize like how heavy that, like how overbuilt that stuff is. There's no way that I could ever break one of those machines, let alone, you know, like what are like some of the like high end home brands, like Body, what is that? I can't think of the names offhand, but yeah, there's some really good stuff that like it wouldn't stand up in your gym, but you know, I could use it all day, and it's a lot cheaper.
Yeah, especially because you're treating it well too.
Yeah.
Like, you know, part of the wear and tear on machines is the number of people using it over time, and then a certain factor of it is like the odd person is a fucking idiot.
Yeah,
and you know,
a lot of them are idiots. Sorry.
Yeah. So you just remove that. You know, remove the idiots and remove the frequency and number of people using it, and things become a lot more durable.
Yeah.
You know, so
fact.
Yeah.
What do we think about the future of bodybuilding? 30 of the competitors that were out of the 30 competitors that were in the Olympia, 16 of them have never competed in the Open Olympia before. What are your thoughts?
It's great homework, by the way.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's very obvious that the future of bodybuilding is extremely bright, because look at the turnout, look at the feel, look at the conversation after the show, and look at the passing of the guard that's taking place. I mean, listen, Bonac didn't suck this year. He just got beat.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the thing when you start looking, you know, and Brandon, he didn't suck. He was a little off for sure, but I'm not going to say if he was as good as he was when he won the Olympia, you know, a few years ago, that he would have won. So it's in great hands, and there are a lot of guys that we haven't even had time to talk about, which we would not anyways because we don't talk bodybuilding, that are going to continue to get better. Like there's guys I don't even know that were at the Olympia that next year I'm going to be like, how did I not know he was there last year? Like he's nuts.
Yeah. Yeah, I think bodybuilding's in a great place, you know, industry-wise, popularity-wise. The guys at the top, Samson coming up, Hadi and Derek coming up from the 212 to be the two top guys in the Open. You know, that says a lot about the 212 division. And it says a lot about focusing on quality, because the 212 division is all about quality, because they top out their body weights and they have to, you know, bring like ultra conditioning. And so that bleeding, not that it wasn't that was, you know, that's the game of the Open anyways, but the strong reminder that that's the game comes from Derek and Hadi being top two this year. It really, I think it was really good that they were the top two, because all those other guys behind them, every single one of them, it's like, fuck, I just got beat by two guys from the 212.
Yeah.
Like maybe there's something I can learn from what these guys are doing coming into shows. Obviously they're too big for the 212 now, but you know what I'm talking about, the calloused mind of, you know, pushing down.
Well, the years that they spent at a lighter weight trying to make weight, right? Like Derek under 212 continued to get drastically better when staying under 212. Whereas, and this is a weak example, but I can say for myself, my goal was to get as big as possible, as fast as possible. I didn't have a pretty shape to begin with, and I made it worse. These guys, I think by refining and getting better and better inch by inch, and then saying, okay, now that I have this physique that cannot stay under 212, let me shoot it up, you know, to 230, 240, whatever you weighed on stage. It looked the same polished, presented thing, just bigger.
Yeah, it's also a big reminder. Anyone who's in a weight class should take a big lesson from that. You know, I was always a super, so I'd never had to make weight once in my life. But for all those guys that have been light heavies for a few years, and maybe they're thinking, oh, I should go to heavyweight. You know, I've been 195, dialed in a few times. I should go to heavyweight. It's like, really? You think you should? You still got, you know, maybe you should think what these 212 guys do to get into that weight class. Maybe you should, you know, add 10 pounds of muscle and still make 197. Like, there's, you know what I mean? And that quality, I just really love that look. And I'm glad that look is what took the top 2 spots at the O. That 212 competitor that simply cannot get down anymore. Yeah. I love that. I just really like that mentality and that the way the physique looks at the end of the day. The 212 guys are amazing.
I think a lot of people liked the way that panned out. I think a lot of people were happy with those decisions.
Yeah.
I forgot that after the Olympia last year, the first thing I said was that I hoped Derek never did 212 again.
You did.
On the show.
We both talked about that. Yeah.
I was like, because even though he won, it wasn't dominating like it was this year. Like it was dominating when he walked out. You said he hit that front double. You're like gasp in the audience.
It's funny how he looked better at 234. He looked better at 234 than he ever looked in 212.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like it wasn't like there was any trade-off. It was like his physique was desperately needing to be bigger. Like that's the state he was in, which really says a lot about his patience too. You know what I mean? To continue to do that. So the only thing, I would say, so I said positive and all that, those aspects. But, I do think bodybuilding is in a little bit of trouble when it comes to all the reckless stuff that guys have been doing for the last decade. Well, more than that, but it's really been reckless in the last decade with, we had guys like Boston and all that stuff that was going on the internet and all the influence that a lot of those guys had. And when you tell people to take 4 grams, 5 grams of shit a week and a gram of Tren and all this stuff, you tell guys to do that, you're not going to see the problems right away. Yeah. It's going to be like 5 years, 6 years, 7 years later, you start seeing all these guys that are fucked up. And Dusty and I just had a text thread going this morning with Dante, and obviously no names will be repeated, but Dante was just expressing some frustration with us. He sent us some blood work, and he's like, why do these guys always come to me when it's way too fucking late? He's like, look at this fucking shit. And he showed us some blood work, and it was like, Jesus fuck. Yeah. And then in the message, the guy was talking like, oh yeah, I just, got to correct these and get these numbers. Dante's like, these numbers are fucking, this isn't like a correctable thing. This is like, you have to immediately change your lifestyle in like every way. Like you have to reduce food, drop body weight, stop training. Like you actually have to stop training because your kidneys can't take the stress of like filtering all the waste products from training. You know what I mean? Like your kidneys are so bad, you have to stop training. Like, and it's, I do think we can get through it, because I don't think this is, we've seen some really nasty stuff happen in bodybuilding and we've all gotten through it, but I do think we can get through this phase. And I do think this will be looked back at as like sort of the dawn of like the internet bodybuilding era and what it did, and there's so much good that it comes out of the internet with information and people telling their real life stories and their real experience and all the stuff that like, I know that we're all trying our best to contribute in a positive way, and I think we can get through it. The industry will get through it, but it is in a little bit of like trouble right now with, just we had a lot of bullshit going on for a while and it's really coming to the surface. So, that's my.
Well, I think what happened, if you remember, is when a lot of these people were speaking loudly about the fact that you can take grams and grams and you'll be fine. Look at me. It was satisfying for a lot of people that were listening to it because they wanted to hear that so that they could say, that's why the pros are better than me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's why when Dante Trudell and other people would come forward and say, you do not have to do that, people would say, bullshit, you're a liar, because that's a lot easier to swallow than my genetics aren't good enough, or I don't work consistently enough, or whatever else it is. And I hate to use this word, but thankfully, a lot of people are going to dodge the bullet because other people didn't and can say, oh, shit. Because at the end of the day, my argument is simple, and I could say this for even myself. If I was going to die because of the things I did for my level of bodybuilding, it wouldn't be worth it. So keep that in mind when you're chasing your stuff. It's like I've done really well. My whole life is paid for by bodybuilding. And I could still say without question, if I had to die for it the next year, it's a bad move. So, you know, think about that when you're, you know, following in the footsteps of people who, you know, led you in the wrong direction. Because at the end of the day, you know, for example, and just to say one name without hammering him away, but like, look at Boston. He was never a great bodybuilder. Just took a ton of drugs. Right. You know, so the drugs, if anything, he did prove our point. The drugs won't do it for you.
I had a guy I know, and he's like a good bodybuilder, you know, and pretty experienced. Like he's done nationals and everything. And he messaged me. He sent me a picture of Bumstead, and he's like, "What is he doing to get this look? Like how much Tren and how much GH is he doing to get this look?" And I just laughed, and I'm like, "Actually, you probably picked the worst example of drug use you could have possibly selected from the entire weekend." You know, like probably like you couldn't be farther off the mark. Like, I mean, I'm not speaking for him, and I'm not going to fuck, but those two items might not even be in the fucking recipe. Like you're literally looking at like the most talented guy in the industry, who's probably the healthiest. So like it just even experienced people have this like fucking roadblock thing that happens when they see something like that. You know, the guy who's on the most Tren and GH is probably tied for 16th.
Yep.
I didn't see it for a long time. I couldn't see it until I was working with people who were much better than me, and I could see what they were responding to. And I could see they didn't need nearly as much drugs as I did, and they were much more successful than I ever was using, you know, far less. I mean, it really is something that I had to see with my own eyes. And so I do get it when I see the comments where people are saying, and I try my best to really explain it to them. I don't have like an ulterior motive. It's not like if you take less drugs, the IFBB gives me money, or you know what I mean? It's not like
There's no reward at all. In fact, they're less likely to hire you as a coach and probably stop listening to you.
Right, exactly. But to me, it's like you know, at some point I just have to be like, yeah, okay, you know, it is what you have to figure it out on your own. But you know, we still try. It's been a big thing with Blood, Sweat, and Gear. When we have somebody on that's like a really successful bodybuilder, we've had guys that come on and tell us, hey, yeah, I use a lot of gear, and some guys are middle of the road, and some guys are low, and it's just that's the way it is in the real world. But to see those guys that are so successful and can win shows, I've had guys win pro cards without Tren, you know. Very mild stuff under a gram total. It's like a lot of people, they just won't believe that, you know. But you know, I don't know.
I still my favorite example is all the Lee Priest stories that have been just repeatedly confirmed by every person he ever lived with.
I believe him.
Where he would
I really do.
He would like load up an Amphideca, put it on the table, and it would sit on the table for like a week.
Yeah.
And then Paul Dillette would be like, "Are you going to take your shot? Like you're like 10 weeks out." And they'd be like, "Oh yeah, I should probably take my shot." Like just literally randomly taking the odd amp for like 12 weeks into a show and showing up looking like Lee Priest. Like just
he had this. He's been so funny about it. The thing is too is that it was my friend VJ that pointed this out to me, that he's always been consistent with those stories. It hasn't changed.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. No. If somebody's gonna tell stories over and over again, it can change over time, and you know if they're making stuff up, but it's always been the same consistent thing. You know whether you believe them or not.
Yeah, no, and just that's one of my markers is when other people that, you know, people that lived with Lee in different time periods, all the same stories, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, that's
just like him.
Hey, there. Yeah. Oh yeah, I should probably take some Winstrol. Hey, I'm 6 weeks out from the O.
I got one more here.
You know?
We can determine. I don't know who wants to answer this question. We'll figure it out. I'd be interested to hear who the game changers are in each genre of music, in your opinions, throughout the years. Is that a Dusty question?
Obviously, I mean, I'm the expert when it comes to music.
I want to hear. I want to. Well, this is a huge question, but it could be just made small. We could keep this simple. Who were the?
Kurt Cobain is a game changer.
Yep.
Because he created an entire genre, so that's obvious.
He helped bring it.
Yeah, let me and Scott do this, and then Ron, you fix where we fucked up. Okay. I would argue Eminem was one in the rap world.
I might be too close to Eminem, being that I live 3 miles from 8 Mile.
So 3 miles from 8 Mile.
Yeah.
No, but I really do think that that's another example.
I'm going to south side
and then I'm going to list one that is shocking, but not for the reason that people would think. Justin Bieber. And the reason is YouTube. Yeah. He became famous off of YouTube.
Did he really? I didn't even know
what he did since then. Yeah, his fucking mom recorded his shit and put it up. And
you're kidding me.
I don't know. I mean, yeah. That he's like record labels are fucked because people started having that.
Oh,
you have that case, and then another one, which is Donna doesn't like this. Is Jay-Z couldn't get a label, so he created one.
Oh yeah.
So Ron, do your thing.
Well,
she looks at me like kiss my ass. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, that's hard. There's a lot of game changers. I don't know. I mean, geez, for me, there's just too many for me. I would just start droning on and on. But
do it.
Eminem's a great one. Eminem was a great one because he brought an entire new wave of people into hip hop. You know what I mean? I mean, we all relate to certain artists, right? We all relate, like relating to people, the kid that feels like he's, downtrodden and angry. He relates to, maybe he hears a heavy metal band and that's his band. Holy fuck, these guys. And Eminem, I mean, before Eminem, let's just be honest, the only white rappers we really had were the Beastie Boys. Yeah. And they were a little different. They were actually a punk band.
Yeah.
They were like a punk band, a skater punk band that kind of turned into a rap group. And they were also very Jewish too. Yeah. So they were that New York, Brooklyn, right? So they sort of were in the Jewish culture, the hip hop culture, and they were white. So they and they weren't quite rap the way rap was. Like they weren't rapping about the same things. Yeah. They were kind of goofy goofy metaphor guys. It was just a different style of rap. But when Eminem came along, that was when, the movie showcases it. That was when, all the white kids that loved rap were like, fuck, that could be me.
You don't even know. Yep. Around here in Detroit, every kid that was into him, all dyed their hair that blonde color. Everywhere I'd go, there's some kid walking down the street with a wife beater and the dyed hair, all covered in Detroit tattoos. Literally everywhere.
Yeah.
Causing pandemonium.
I find it so. A lot of people they'll criticize those type of artists, he caused all these clones. Remember the real Slim Shady video with all the clones?
Yeah.
They all the thousands of clones. That
was genius. Yeah,
so they're trying to look like me, dress like me, walk, talk, and act like me. Yeah. So when that happens, when a phenomenon like that happens, a lot of people will really criticize because they don't want a bandwagon, right?
Yeah.
But I think that's fantastic because that's telling an entire generation of people, all those bandwagoners, all those kids that are leeching on, it's actually telling them this could be you. Huh. You can fucking do this. And so I think those moments are important. And then you see 20 years later, you'll see the results. You know what I mean? 10 years later, you'll see the culture spreading and the demographic changing. And, I think Eminem was, I actually have to finish watching that documentary. Which one was it that you recommended to me? That one where it's him and Dr. Dre, and I can't remember what the name of it is. It's up on streaming, but I have to finish watching that. But he's a good example. I wanted to ask Dusty because since he moved to South Carolina, he's been going to these country music festivals.
Yeah, he sure has.
And I wanted to ask him who his favorite country artist is, since I know nothing about country. For all the cowboy boot wearing fucking hay bale fucking
Yeah.
Rednecks
So
out
this
there.
is tricky though, because here's what's classic. A true country person would disagree with what I call country. Because country has become like a blend of like rock and country in some ways.
I've seen that.
And some of
the
it's
Nashville,
even
the Nashville Hit Factory.
Yeah. So like if you look at like I have a friend that when I'm like, oh God, this person, like I just went and saw Jason Aldean over the summer. I thought he was awesome. She does not even consider him country music at all. It's insulting to even use the term. I'm like, you got a cowboy hat, country. I'm done. I rest my case. No, but I mean, so that I do like the current crop of country because the old stuff that people really get hardcore behind, I can't do.
So
that
what do you
shit.
consider? What do you consider the country you can't get behind?
Oh man, like really old twangy country. Alan Jackson, like my mom used to listen to this country music, and it was just rough.
So I know the stuff. The early '90s, the stuff that the country music television was built on, the first wave of pop country.
Oh yeah. So like now, like, and you would love if I sent you like Warren Ziders, who's a smaller country guy. If I sent you his music, Ron, like 2 songs, you'd be like, "Fuck, this is good," because it's like it's rock sung by a guy with an accent.
Right. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So really good stuff.
A sucker.
Yeah,
I'm still a sucker for whenever I hear one of Garth Brooks's old hits.
Oh,
I
he's
still turn
phenomenal.
it up. Like Garth Brooks.
That's a guy, for example, though, that changed the game, like you were talking about.
Yeah,
did it his way, which is off the charts. And I find him interesting because if you're thinking musically, he's not like extremely talented vocalist or anything. Like if you listen to him sing, he's a performer, and the music choices. I don't really know if he wrote anything or anything, but that's the other thing that I've been getting behind that now, Ron, that you're into is like when I find someone who writes their own music,
right?
It's a whole different game. Like when we went to that Jason Aldean concert, I was introduced to Hardy, who is now my guy. I was like, because he started mentioning like I wrote this song, now I can hear a song and know he wrote it without even, and I look it up. I'm like, motherfucker, I knew it. Like,
right.
And the guy, I didn't know this, by the way. He went to school to become a music writer, like to write songs. I didn't even know that was a college thing. And I'm sure his parents were fucking livid when that's what he went to college for. Waste of college money. Yeah, he's doing all right now, so I guess it worked out. But yeah, it's very cool to get into these,
It's so funny to me how you have some people that are like trained musicians, like you get some guys, they grew up learning classical guitar or piano, like their parents had them in classical piano, and then they pick up a guitar when they're 13 and they're a wizard by 16 and they're in a metal band by 19 and they're signed by 21 and they're and they're just blazing guitar players. And then, I watched a video with Dave Grohl in it the other day, and he was like holding a guitar, and he was in front of a bunch of like teenagers.
Yeah.
And he was talking about music, and he's like this, and he plays a chord. He goes, this chord. I don't know what this chord is. Ding, ding. I don't know what it's called. I don't know anything about it, but I like this chord and I use it in Everlong.
That's crazy.
So
that's amazing. Oh,
and
that's
I'm just
amazing.
like, how are both of you people, both millionaires, off the same craft?
That's awesome.
Right? Exactly.
It comes down to like multiple ways of getting the job done, and it sounds good, so I play it.
I watched a music documentary. I watched a music documentary just a couple days ago with Victoria. It was on Netflix, I think, and it was about Woodstock 99 and how big of a complete catastrophe it was.
When the 90s died.
It was a 3-part episode thing, and each episode was 1 day, and they just went right through it. And it was fantastic the way they went through, and they're talking about like the band. So they wanted to like make sure that things didn't get too crazy, but the old people who put it together didn't have any idea about the bands that were popular at the time that they brought. So they're like, we have like 200. Yeah, we have 250,000 people here. We got to try to keep them calm. And then the biggest headliners were Limp Bizkit, Korn, I think it was Limp Bizkit and
Rage
Korn.
Against the Machine.
Yeah, and Rage Against the Machine. And they're like, you know, we'll just, and they had all these bands, and I guess it was really Limp Bizkit that really like lit people up. He got them so riled and so excited, and then they did this thing where they wanted to hand out candles, and they hand out candles to everybody to do like a vigil against gun violence and stuff. And they're like, so we took away all the things that they could possibly burn, you know, any kind of flammable items before they came in, and now we're going to give them candles. And once the fire started, they're like, we got to do something, and they had the Red Hot Chili Peppers on at the very end. And they're like, we got to have them do something to help, you know. And Anthony Kiedis was like, there's nothing I can do. There's nothing I can say to these people that's going to calm them down. And they're like, well, just get out there and play something. And they went out there and they did a tribute to Jimi Hendrix. Let me stand by your fire. And it's just like the whole place burnt the fuck down. It was
they started tearing the barricades apart and lighting fire to all the plywood that was out there.
Yeah, they were like,
dude,
they like blew up all the trucks. There's propane tanks in the storage vehicles and stuff. All the semis, literally, I think shit was exploding. Cars are overturned. They literally destroyed that place. And then they were doing like they did like a PR conference like 3 hours before the end, and they're like, it's not over yet, but you know, we're pretty content with how this went. We've gotten through it. Everything was really great. The mayor invited them back. it was crazy.
God.
It was good.
That was good. Before things.
I think
were
Metallica was on that bill
it.
too. Wasn't Metallica there as well?
I think I don't know. They didn't mention Metallica.
I can't remember. Okay,
and that might have been the '94 one.
But
I don't know. But
that might have been. Yeah. I remember watching Woodstock '99. I can't remember how I watched it. They might have been broadcasting it like highlights on one of the music channels every day.
Yeah.
But I was like watching. I had the TV on all weekend, and there was a bunch of Woodstock '99 stuff coming through.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing like the riots when Limp Bizkit was playing. And there was all the drama about the toilets and the fucking porta potties.
Yeah,
and
the sewage water got mixed with the drinking water, and they had this girl who was saying, so I woke up and my throat was the sorest it's ever been in my life, and I had sores all over my face, and it turned out I had trench mouth because she was drinking the contaminated water. Yeah, and
it was in the mud, and they were sliding. Yeah, it was just disgusting. Yeah,
it all got mixed into the mud, and people were crawling in the mud. And
didn't they have the porta potties on top of a hill?
I don't even know.
And then I think that might have been '94, and then when shit went sideways and they overflowed, it all ran down the hill.
Yeah, shit literally went sideways.
Dirt that
dude, it was crazy. And a big thing was too that they cut back funding because they wanted it. They were like, the original, the 94 one, not the original, the 94 one didn't make any money. So they're like, they had it on an Air Force base that was all walled in so nobody could break in for free. And then once they got everything together, then they started cutting funding to it. So it's like the sanitation department got cut and funded, and then it got exported out. Somebody else, third party, is doing it. All the vendors were third party. And then they kept raising the prices through the weekend. So they weren't allowed to bring water in. But then you had to buy water, and it's like $4, and the next day it's $6. The last day it's $12. So I'd be pissed too, you know?
That's freaking amazing.
Yeah, it was a recipe for disaster. And there was one young guy who worked on the staff, and he was like, I don't know if that is a good idea. And they're like, just shut up, kid. You don't know any better.
The only guy that knew what was probably going to happen.
Right.
Yeah.
If I could make a suggestion. No. Okay.
Yeah.
They
I love those documentaries.
It was so good.
Did you watch the Fire Festival one?
No.
Oh, that one was amazing. You check out the Fire Festival one. Like the biggest ripoff of all time. It was a music festival on an island.
We did, yes. Yeah, we did see that one. Yeah, that was good.
Oh, God. Those people that arrived, they're like, where are the beds?
There's nothing. They're stranded.
Where are we sleeping? Like, you're on that island how many days? 3 days or something?
Yeah.
And you're like, what the fuck? Yeah, I can't imagine.
But now we're going down a different trail. Victoria got us into that Wednesday Addams show and into an old show called Hunting Hitler. I swear to God, that dude didn't die in World War II. That's all I gotta say.
Love it, don't you?
Yeah,
you love it.
Stuff. Sorry, I just railed us on everything, but
I like the derail. That was great.
Okay. Well, does Dusty have any over-unders?
You know what? I think I do. Hold, please. Or do I? I think I might have only, you know what? Shit, I might have only done them for him. Oh. I did them with Kuba.
You did Kuba over-unders. We didn't use them.
All right, well, that's okay, because I'm going to use them on you guys. I'm going to use these on you guys. Blast and cruise cycles, drugs. All out, short periods, all off, short periods. Underrated or overrated?
I'm going to say overrated.
All out, short periods, and then all off, like completely off?
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, it's like, remember Blast and Cruise was like 200, and then but it was blasting hard for short breaks instead of doing the longer cycles. Remember that was a thing for a while.
Yeah, overrated.
Okay, overrated. They agreed. That's boring. I'm
just going to say overrated. Yeah. Oh, we're on to the next one. No explanation.
We're on to the next. You guys were boring. Yeah. Tren A. Overrated, underrated.
I'm going to say overrated because people think they have to use it to even do a show. And that's just not true.
True that.
I got nothing. I can't argue that. That's the truth. It's the truth. And it's gotten so much attention. We talked about it. Like, there's people in the mainstream world that know what Tren is nowadays. And they just think of it as this magical, crazy thing. You're going to take it, and the next thing you know, you're going to go crazy, and you're going to be super strong, and you're going to get ripped. And all that stuff is true, but...
I actually just heard someone who was like on the fringe of knowing what steroids were, like their friend's a bodybuilder and they're not really, they're just kind of like, those people, they're on the edge of the circle.
Right.
Mm-hmm. They're aware of bodybuilding, but they're not doing it themselves. And he actually said, he's like, yeah, but I mean, like that guy's huge. So like he's on Tren. So like that was his, like, he's like, oh, well, yeah, but that guy's taking Tren. So like, of course he's benching 5 plates.
Yeah, naturally.
Like that sort of thing. Like it's that type of a drug.
Yeah.
So I would say it's overrated.
Wolfpak bags.
Overrated.
I didn't even know Wolfpak bag. I didn't even know what those were till we got to the Olympia. Actually, till we were in line at the airport. And there's a couple in front of us that had them, and I was like, "Victoria, that's pretty cool. That backpack they have, that's
nice
gym
bags."
I was like, "That's gym related, but they've got Molly on it, like the like stuff for shooting does." I was like, "That's pretty cool." She's like, "That's the Wolfpak bags they were talking about." And I was like, "Oh,
yeah, they're really cool." So both my business partners have them. Like they're really cool. They're well made, but I just say overrated because everyone always gets in these fads where they think they have to have one. That's all I mean. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm fine with a regular gym bag. I keep my dishes separate.
I got to do 2 things with these because I find it fascinating. Number one, whoever created it is a genius. Because if you brought that to me and said, hey, I want you to invest in this idea. I'm going to do this gaudy, oversized fucking backpack for adults. Then... I'm going to have you label what your entire life matches up to be with stickers basically on the back.
Yeah.
I'd be like, this is the dumbest fucking idea I've ever heard. No one's going to do that.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. Because I do think it's funny, and you have to admit this. So nobody wants to be like, everyone's like, don't put me in a box. I'm my own man. I do what I want to do. Do you want to label everything you do in your life on the back of your backpack? Yes. NPC athlete? Check. Coach? Check.
Yeah.
I'm like... You're putting yourself in your own fucking box. Makes me laugh. So I love the guy for creating that. Genius. I also, how everyone has like a thing that it doesn't make any sense, but it annoys them. Like my old business partner used to hate sandals. He's like, you're a fucking grown man. Put on some shoes. And I'm like, why is that a big deal?
Yeah.
I wear slides. Fuck, I hang out with Scott and he wears Crocs for crying out loud. But anyways, I digress. So mine is grown men wearing backpacks. I just think it's funny.
Yeah.
Right.
Are you heading off to school? What's happening? I'm old. I just throw a shoulder bag on and walk in. I'm 40 fucking years old. I don't need a backpack. I don't know. So, okay, that's my rant on those. And I am jealous of the guy beyond belief because what a genius. I would have never guessed.
It's interesting.
I saw your gym member had one on his back and was holding another one that he just bought. And I'm like, that's like $500 in bags. Shit. I'm looking at you holding.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
So I have 2 things. I have 2 things to comment on that you brought up with the bags.
Thank you.
First of all, I when I see my business partner's bags, I think, wow, those are nice bags. But I'm way too old to I would never use one. I can't imagine using a backpack at my age. Like I would never get a backpack. I just would be like, if someone gave me one, I'd be like, oh, wow, thanks. But then I'd like want to, give it to a client or sell it to somebody.
I use a backpack for like going on the plane. I'll put like my carry-on as a backpack. That way it's balanced. And I've got heavy shit in it, like microphones, cameras, all of that. So that makes sense to me.
Do you put both straps on very often?
Yeah, if I'm doing that, because that way my hands are free in the airport. And I actually
use this
Yeah.
Crazy thing called the roller bag.
Yeah.
Where I don't have to carry the weight at all.
I want to be able to put it under my seat
wheels.
and then access it during the flight.
I would feel funny with it. I just feel like I would be like, I just wouldn't put a backpack on. I don't know. I'm just backpack averse. I have an aversion to backpacks.
I can't blame you.
And then
you're an adult now. You can make choices.
And the other comment, go ahead. Yeah. What was it?
And the other comment has to do with your saying about how I think this is a bit of a trend with the younger generation. And hey, we did it too. Hey, I'm a bodybuilder.
Yes.
I'm a bodybuilder. Hey, Ron, what are you doing? I'm a bodybuilder.
Gallon jug, 6-pack bag.
Right. I never carried a gallon.
That's
so
okay.
But I understand the younger generation really wants to have an identity. Like my identity is coach, empathy bodybuilder, lover of squats, whatever the list goes. And I think that mentality where you have to like be properly categorized. I want to be properly categorized. That's part of the sort of like what's in your Instagram bio, right?
Right.
What do you call yourself? Like you must categorize yourself. And like even in mine, I look at it and I'm just like, I don't really know what to put on this, and I don't really like what I have written on mine, but I can't really think of anything else to write, so I'm just going to leave it. Yeah. So that's sort of how I am. But I see people, it's very important that their identity be broadcast. And I sort of tie this in a little bit. I don't want to go too far or stretch this, but this has to go with the problems that they're seeing with the younger university with where they want like my category must be represented.
Yeah.
Right. This goes into like the social and political stuff too. My category. Where's the funding for my category? My special interest group. How come we're not getting how come we're not getting anything? Like, and I sort of see this as a bit of a trend. Everyone needs to be like assigned a label. And as I've gotten older, I've tried to get away from labels. I try to I called myself a bodybuilder for so long, and I'm trying to not call myself a bodybuilder anymore. I'm a lot of things. And I think that that's something I've like really tried as I've, seen the world differently over the last, decade. The getting away from labels. And I see this sort of eagerness to be labeled as sort of a young thing.
People want to have that identity. They want to be able to...
the group, belong to a group, all that sort of stuff. And it makes sense. And I did it. We all did it. But I just sort of think that's why I feel a little like that's sort of not my age category, that product.
That's why I think you nailed it, is the age category. Because, for example, now, if someone were to say to me, like if they saw me, they'd say, oh, you're a bodybuilder. I would hope that wouldn't be the end of the conversation, because I'm like, ooh, I wasn't great at that, but I'm pretty fucking good at some other shit.
Cigars.
No, but I mean, for real, if you think about it, it is an interesting thing, because I find it funny that simultaneously, while it's so popular to make sure you select your category, people still want to say that they don't want to be told what to do or what they are. They don't want to be limited within that thing. So it's interesting because people don't even realize they're doing it, Because I'm with you, Ron. Like you're a lot of other things. Like you're a business owner. You still are a bodybuilder, just not competitive anymore. You're all these other things. So it's just interesting because, it'd be funny if I were to put everything on a backpack that I consider myself. A lot of things would get me arrested. And definitely some funny looks. But it's like, connoisseur of great asses. I mean, do they have one of those stickers?
It's just a
cigar. I notice them all the
it's
time. I'm like, yes.
You got a little Velcro peach with a heart.
I love a good ass. That's not one. Okay.
What's interesting to me is that comes from, I think, like, military stuff in the shooting community, the patches and the molly. But the shooting community is moving away from that. They want to look like they don't carry shit. So this is what the new shooting bags look like that everybody's into. This is a shooting bag by Save Your Equipment, which we're not sponsored by yet. And this is what the inside of it looks like. So that way they can walk around. Yeah, they can walk around and it looks like they got a tennis case, but it's really like, they're guns. So they don't, because they don't want to be identified, the gray man.
They used to carry the camo bags that looked like a gun, right?
Yeah, but now you walk out.
Camo bag with, yeah.
The patches and all that.
Yeah. Very interesting, Scott. I like that.
I thought you'd appreciate that. Because that was the first thing I saw. I was like, holy shit, this is like translating over into bodybuilding now. The molly and the patches and all that.
So let's just have a quick second. What do you mean by molly?
Those like little
I always think of drugs when you say that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I know what he's talking about, but I'm just giving him the opportunity to show people what he means by molly.
These are mollied in. These, that's like... see how there's like the webbing, and then you can like, you put things through those straps. So like the whole side of the bag has like that webbing in it, so you can like put a med kit on it, or
Every time you said that, I thought about my younger days in Vegas. I'm like, Molly, yes, I know that.
I know about Molly.
I know Molly. She's great.
He's really mollied in there.
Yeah.
I can't believe we're just going to open. I thought you were done with that part of your life. Anyways,
a lot of Molly.
You got your patches and your molly.
Yeah.
And you're ready for the expo.
Yeah.
So you take molly and then you shoot things? Wait, what's happening?
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. I'm glad that you guys took that as far as I did. But I was super stoked for the business at the Olympia. I was blown away. Also, one more fun fact with you backpack wearers. When you get on the airplane and you turn, it's still behind you and knock the shit out of someone behind you. Yeah. I see it all the time. I'm like, you forgot? You
take it off and you hold it in front of you through the aisleway. That's what I do personally.
I was going to tell you, Ron, if someone gave me one of those and I was going to use it, I would just hold it with my hand like a bag. Because I'm too old to put it on my back. Plus, if I got it on there, I don't know if I can get it back off.
That's for real for you, though. Yeah, that makes sense. I am seeing this now. Yeah.
I have another comment for everyone. And it's not just for the backpack people. It's for everyone. Sometimes there comes a point in your life when you have to admit that what you think is an acceptable carry-on is way too fucking big. And it's not an acceptable carry-on. Just because it's a backpack doesn't mean it's a carry-on. Because if you have a massive backpack that's stuffed to the gills and you can't fucking fit it in the overhead, and you gotta like cram and stuff and pull and bang, it's too big. It's too big. Yeah. That's my comment.
I'm always nervous that the guy that's doing that is going to break the overhead compartment, and will we be able to leave? Will this somehow deem our plane broken? I don't know how that works.
Yeah. I remember an old Saturday Night Live skit that Chris Farley used to do, where he was on the plane and they had these flight attendants, and it was the guy that doesn't check his bags.
Yeah.
And he's got all his bags on the plane. You look it up on fucking YouTube. The guy that doesn't check his bags, he's just fucking mad. He's fucking, it's chaos, and he's jamming them in. And the flight attendants are all like being really sarcastically rude to him. And I love that. I don't check anything. Yeah. That guy. That's what I think of. That's what I think of when I see those people. Guy with a big hard shell wheel bag and a giant backpack, and he's just standing there at the gate. I'm like, oh, fuck this guy. Fuck this guy.
I love that somehow we got a soft subject for Ron, and it wasn't even on purpose.
That's good.
He's so angry right now.
Yeah.
This guy.
Yeah. Fuck this guy.
Oh, that's good shit. That's good shit.
Okay. So do we ate up enough of everybody's time, or do we have one more, Dusty? We're going to save it?
No, we cannot. If I were to give one, we would just fall backwards. We're ending on a great note.
Okay. Guy. I'm happy with that. Fuck that guy. I do have some stuff to do. It is Monday after Christmas, and business don't stop. And people are back on their diets. I gave a few people that had just kind of started prep like 3-4 weeks ago. They're really early, so they all had a Christmas dinner. And back at it today. So I've got check-ins to do. I'm sure you guys are exactly the same, in the same boat.
Absolutely.
And I've got some guitar to play.
Nice.
I haven't touched my guitar for 3 days. I've been so busy. Fingers are just itching to go. I haven't ridden my bike for like 3.5 weeks because it's been pouring rain and dumping snow and absolutely unrideable conditions outside. So I'm actually looking through Facebook Marketplace trying to find an indoor spot to ride. There's some people that rent their garages out for storage. And I found a guy that has a 3-car garage in Maple Ridge. It's about 20 minutes from my house. He's got an unattached 3-car garage that he's renting for storage. He wants $600 a month. So I've got a couple of my buddies. We're talking about, hey, we do $200-$300 each. We get a couple of keys made.
Yeah,
we can make it through. We can make it through to April. We'll do January, February, March.
Can we do some dangerous tricks on your property?
Right. Can we risk injury on your property? We'll sign a waiver. We won't even store anything in there. We'll sweep the floor. We'll leave it cleaner than you could have possibly imagined. That concrete floor will be buffed and polished. I'll get a friend of mine in there day one to fucking polish it up. He'll come in. There'll be like metal kickboard all the way around the outside of the garage. You know what I mean? And then like nice polished concrete surface. Be like, what'd you guys do to my garage?
Yeah,
it'll be fucking upgraded. So so we're looking at an indoor spot because this Vancouver shit is getting serious. It's fucking snow, rain. It doesn't know what to do here. It's Canadian winter. Nah, it's Seattle winter. Nah, it's Canadian winter. Fuck you, Seattle winter again. So it's just, just craziness.
That's a mess.
So,
and you guys don't have any preparation for snow, I heard. Like you guys, the trains, all that stuff, it all shuts down.
No infrastructure whatsoever. They probably have one plow at the Vancouver airport. Yeah. You know?
For the planes only.
You know? It's crazy. You know what happens in other Canadian cities? Like I remember living in Edmonton. There could be it could be minus 30 Celsius, like death cold.
Real cold.
With a blizzard, and you're like, oh yeah, my flight's going. Yeah. And you go to the airport, you get on the plane, and they fucking spray it with de-icer, and the plows clear the runway, and you take off.
Yeah.
This is nothing stops. And then Vancouver, it's like, oh, an inch of snow. Airport shut down.
The entire city,
all flights canceled,
is shut down.
Yeah, you know? Crazy
for real.
Crazy. So,
like the public transportation doesn't work with snow. I heard.
No. Yeah, well, there's times. I mean, we just had some stuff like yesterday. We were open. Christmas Day, open at the gym.
Awesome.
A lot of people came into Tren. We had a couple hundred people through there, and we had 40 drop-ins.
Oh, wow.
And
wow, that's awesome.
And the one guy told me. He goes, I go, what's your home gym? And he named it. He's like, oh, I train there. And I was like, oh, yeah, how's that been going? And he's like, it fucking sucks. They don't even use their Instagram. I show up to train, and there's a paper note on the door, closed because of snow.
Huh. Oh, shit.
Like,
that blows.
I made it. I'm standing here pulling on the door. Where's your staff?
Yeah.
Like, just the owner didn't want to drive on the road in the morning, I guess. So he just didn't go at all. Like, no one went. And it just didn't open. Put a paper sign on the door, like closed because of snow.
Who put the sign up? That's
who put the sign up? You know?
He should have had a key and opened the goddamn door.
Because his joke was, whoever put the sign up made it, and I made it.
Yeah.
You know. So there's some of that nastiness goes on here. Some businesses just decide not to open. And then some do, and you got to check sometimes they don't update their website or their Google or use their Instagram. So you can go somewhere. Like I actually went somewhere to shop and it was closed, and I was like, oh, and the roads were shit. But I was like, oh, I guess they're probably just not coming in today, you know. So you get a little bit of that.
That's brutal.
It's not like
Instagram makes it
like
easy. You put up a fucking post real quick.
Yeah, Ron, look, stay open.
I always check.
You made money. Yep. You made good money yesterday.
40 drop-ins.
Yeah,
that's a nice day,
man. Yeah.
You know, and a lot of them were ex-members that had moved away. Like they kind of moved farther away, so they couldn't really come all the time anymore. Yeah, but they're like, oh man, I had to come back and train. You know.
Yeah.
So, anyways, awesome. Good time. I hope you guys all had a good Christmas. I hope everyone had a great Christmas and Boxing Day, and you all got your new TV on sale, and you all got your I went and bought some furniture. I got a couple things for the house that we needed.
Nice.
And, you know, that sort of shit. So I hope everybody had a good one. And New Year's 2023, I guess this is the last show of the year, guys. Any final words?
Better
what are your plan New Year's Eve? Quick 5-second plans.
I'm watching Georgia beat Ohio State at my cigar bar at my table New Year's Eve.
Boom. What are you doing New Year's Eve?
Same as always, exciting. Just going to bed at like 10:30.
Sleeping through it. In other words,
you're sleeping through it. Yeah, another day. But I'm grateful to have everybody with us. This has been a really cool year. I'm super grateful for everybody who's hanging out last 5 minutes here. It has been an awesome year, and it really is our audience that's made that happen. It really is, you know. So Donna agrees.
And yeah, it has been a great year. I'm amazed everyone's still listening. And for New Year's Eve, Emily has actually volunteered us to dog sit a couple of dash hounds.
Oh, nice.
Her hairdresser has these 2 adorable dash hounds, and they're going to be coming. We've already had the one stay with us for a few days.
I think I saw that before. Really cute dog.
Yeah, so we're going to have both of them with us for 9 days while he goes to Mexico.
Wow.
And so we're dog sitting. We're going to have 3 dogs here at the castle. And New Year's Eve, there's always a lot of fireworks in our neighborhood. So we don't want to leave the house. We don't want the dogs to be alone. We'll be home with the dogs with a movie turned up pretty loud, you know, get through the fireworks with the dogs.
Yes.
And remember, everyone, if you're setting off fireworks, dogs fucking lose their minds. Just be a little considerate with the fireworks. You don't have to go for 30 fucking minutes. I hate that shit. As a dog owner, fireworks drive me crazy. I love your freedom. But, you know, don't drive my dog insane.
Yeah, we're getting yelled at on that one for sure. I did that once. I put up a post and just like, you know, dogs hate them or whatever. People lost it on me. I'm like, I'm just saying don't do an hour straight. That's all.
Yeah. Maybe everybody do it once. Let's all agree on a time. Yeah, let's all agree on a time. Say, you know, midnight to 12:20, go nuts. But
you got to start getting drunk at 8.
These two don't care.
They don't care.
I've never had a dog that they don't even fucking react.
Betsy doesn't really mind either.
Every time, all this barking is because a dog walked by on the street just now. That's unacceptable.
Yeah,
but you want to do World War VI and fireworks? No problem.
They had to chase them off.
Oh wow! Because our experience is our dog doesn't bark at hardly anything, but fireworks can be going off outside in the neighborhood here, and we aren't even hearing them. We're just seeing them pop off, and he's losing it because he can hear them.
Yeah.
So we can see the firework, and we can't really hear it ourselves.
Yeah.
But he just can't. Oh, man. He fucking thinks someone's trying to break in and murder all of us. So, yeah. Okay. That's my little thing.
Crazy.
See ya. Okay. Remember, everybody, like, share, subscribe, comment, and
ring the bell.
Oh, such a satisfactory release.
Last one of the year.
Last one of the year. Remember, IamMutant.com. Oh, wrong hat. There you go. Those 2 hats.
There we go.
IamMutant.com. Dusty20. Big Ron 20. Go on the what's it called?
Patreon. Appreciate everybody who's helping to support the show.
The Think Big Bodybuilding Network. We appreciate everyone that chips in their little $2, $5 subscription a month, whatever they want to do.
We got 5, and 10,
much appreciated.
But no, it's
got 5, 10, 20,000, whatever you're really
20,000.
You can even try to buy the show.
That's
you can try.
Everything's for sale.
Everything's for sale. Yeah.
All of a sudden, we're pushing your products. It's all done. Okay. Thanks, guys. Remember, it's just bodybuilding. Happy New Year. Welcome to 2023 on the next episode.